Hi, I'm Professor Rick, and I am your professor for Principles of Microeconomics. Let me show you around some of the tools we're going to be using online. Most important thing is Blackboard. You should be checking into Blackboard regularly, at least a couple times a week. Uh, when I send out announcements, they will show up here. I usually remember to click the button that says send email also, but any updates are likely to show up there. Another place you're likely to see updates is on the Discord server I've set up for all of our classes. This is a good way for me to communicate with all 4 of my classes at once, and also a good place for me to share miscellaneous stuff. So one thing you might want to do right when you get into our class is click that Discord link in the sidebar, and that will take you to the server where you can introduce yourself. We've got a channel for Principles of Micro where I will routinely share stuff, but you can ask questions about things. You can ask for updates on the way the system's working, or material we talked about in class. This is just an open-ended, sort of freewheeling way to have low-stakes interactions. You can set up study groups there. You can work with each other. You can share econ memes, all kinds of good stuff on that. So take advantage of that. Back to Blackboard. Actually, as long as I'm showing you stuff not on Blackboard, let me start also with Mindtap. So we are going to be using Cengage's tool, Mindtap, as our source of homework and our textbook. So you're going to need to use that. You can go without, but you won't pass the class. 40% of your grade is Mindtap homework, so you need to sign up for that. The cheapest way to do that is you go to cengage.com, you create an account, and then you get the Cengage Unlimited plan. That's $120 for 4 months, but if you know that you're going to be using Cengage textbooks in the fall, like if you're going to take Principles of Macro next fall, Cengage Unlimited, you can pay an extra, what's that, $50, $60 now, and you've covered your textbook needs for the fall at the same time. So we are using Unlimited. We are using Mindtap for this. So 40% of our stuff is going to be here. This is going to be our weekly homework material on the textbook itself. There's all kinds of stuff in here. And there's our first assignment is a video tutorial of how to use Mindtap. So sign up for Cengage, jump into Mindtap quickly, and go through those first few assignments so that you can take the most advantage of this. I don't like to use expensive textbooks, but in this case, I think that the value justifies that extra cost. It gives a great source of practice questions through the adaptive test prep. Got the textbook itself. It works on a variety of things. You don't have to remember to bring your physical book. It's a good system, so sign up for that quickly. If you're in a situation where you're going to get paid in 3 weeks and that's when you're going to be able to afford to get the textbook, send me an email quickly as soon as you can, and I will make sure that when you get paid and you're set up on Cengage, I can manually reset your deadlines. That said, on the point of deadlines, Mindtap, because it's automated, its deadline process is a little bit different than what we're going to see in the syllabus. In Cengage, in Mindtap, because it's automatically grading stuff, I don't need to be as strict with the deadline. So what it will do is it will allow you to turn stuff in up to 1 week late with a 25% penalty. So it's not free to push stuff off, but if something happens, it's not the end of the world. You can at least capture 3/4 of the points for that week's assignment. So make sure that you are on Mindtap. Make sure you get on there quickly. Make sure you stay on top of those deadlines. Now, all the rest of our stuff is going to be in Blackboard, or if you're in a synchronous class, Blackboard and our classes. So in Blackboard, you should see this homepage for our class. You'll see announcements posted here. You'll see upcoming deadlines. Let me show you what it looks like as a student, because your page is going to look a little bit different than mine. Oh, whoops, not exit. Student preview. So you'll see our shortcuts in the sidebar. I've already showed you Discord and Mindtap. So those are two important things to sign up for this week. Discord is free. If you've got an account already, that's great. But if you could make it so that your real name shows up in the Discord server, that will be helpful, especially if you ask any questions that are specific to you. If they're generic questions and your name is like Surfer Dude, whatever, right? Doesn't matter. Some anonymous student wants to know about the law of demand, no big deal. But it does make it a little bit easier for us to interact with each other if we're using real names. So most of our stuff is going to be in this section called Learning Modules. So we've got this split up week by week. Now I also have this set up so that our first week is basically all our deadlines are basically already pushed back a week. So you've got these deadlines like February 13th for the first module. Put that into your calendar as February 6th. Basically, we've already built in 1 week of buffer. So most of the stuff we're going to see is going to be kind of a week later than what is totally necessary. This also means that you can kind of get ahead of stuff for the asynchronous classes. This is going to be important because if you're going to be off for spring break, being a week ahead means that you can build in that buffer zone yourself. That said, a policy, we'll go to course information to see the syllabus. An important policy in this class is that I observe deadlines strictly. Stuff that turns in late gets pushed off into a separate folder on my end, and I don't check that folder. So if you turn something in late, it's the same. It's effectively the same as just not turning it in at all. So make sure you stay on top of that stuff. Also, make sure you come and check out the syllabus. It's big. It's got a lot of policies, but I put that stuff in there because I want to avoid running into conflicts later in the semester. I'm laying out the rules clearly in advance. If you have questions about the class, they are almost certainly answered in here. So, big warning on the front. It's important to read and understand this. When students fail my class, it's usually because they didn't read the syllabus. So make sure you're checking that out. I will leave that for you to read on your own because no one wants to watch a video of a guy reading a 16-page document, although some of it is tables. Another important thing in here, and we should have a link in our course requirements. Actually, two important things. One is our second book is The Undercover Economist by Tim Harford. So we're going to be using Greg Mankiw's Principles of Microeconomics, and we will also be reading The Undercover Economist. This one, you should be able to find a cheap copy online. You can find it on Amazon for like $10. Make sure you don't buy this one, The Undercover Economist Strikes Back. It's an excellent book, but it's a macro book. This is a micro class, and we are using his micro book. So this one is the one that you are after here. I think I've got a copy somewhere. Here it is. You want this version of the book. It is also available as an audiobook, which is very nice. So if I was in your position, I would get like a $3 used copy version of this from Amazon and then spend, $12 to get the Audible version. Or if you've never used Audible before, you sign up for a free trial and you get your first book for $0. So go to Undercover Economist on Amazon. You can get the audiobook for $0 as part of a free trial, right? Or for $15 if you're a member and you're paying $15 a month for one credit. So that's a pretty good deal. You can also borrow copies from your local public library. Oh, wow, 87 copies of the audiobook. It has saved you some money here. Hey, check that out. So, use your Suffolk County or Nassau County Public Library account and borrow the audiobook from the library. You'll have to renew every few weeks, but this is a great way to sort of skim the book. Listen to the audiobook during your commute, and then come home and you can kind of flip through the paper copy, and it'll be easier to do your homework related to this book that way. So that is our second thing besides the Cengage textbook. And another thing is we're going to be using the Respondus lockdown browser for exams. This way we don't have to use in-class time to do exams. We don't have to meet in person to do exams. But you do need to make sure that your computer will work for it. You need to make sure you've got it set up in advance. You're going to need a webcam. Now, webcams are cheap at this point. We're far enough into the pandemic that now you can get a nice one for $70 or a cheap one for $20. 20 bucks, that's a pretty good deal. Get a webcam if you don't have a functioning one already, and that's going to make it much, much easier to do the exams. If that's absolutely not possible, reach out to me and we'll figure out an alternative, but I guarantee it's not going to be as convenient as just using Respondus. So, what a typical week is going to look like, if I can get back to this, here we go, is you'll sign on to Blackboard, you will go into a module, let's actually go to the next module. We'll have an overview of what we're talking about in that module. For the synchronous classes, we might get our timing a little bit different just because that's how it goes, but you have access to the same materials the asynchronous classes have. So there'll be a set of videos that you can watch related to this. This will be review if you're in the synchronous class, if you're in the asynchronous class. If you're in the synchronous class, then this is substituting for your lectures. It's all the stuff that I would be talking about in class, but broken up into a playlist. There will also be some information about what you should be reading. And then there will be homework on Mindtap. So you want to click into Mindtap. That'll let you, and see if it'll work for me. Click into Mindtap, check the schedule outlines, see what's due that week, see what's due the next week, and try and work ahead if you can. Get all that stuff done. Stay on top of it so it doesn't pile up. And then on Blackboard, there's going to be a regular reading assignment. Right? So for most of the semester, it's going to be related to this book. But sometimes I'll put up some videos or some links to an essay. The first couple weeks, I'm giving you time for your Harvard book to arrive. But once that starts, you will need the book. So it's starting in Module 4, so you want to order that early so that it shows up in time. What that reading assignment is going to look like is basically a couple paragraphs. One paragraph where you convince me that you did the reading, one paragraph where you convince me that you thought about the reading. Right? I want a summary and I want a response. Now the summary doesn't need to be exhaustive. It just needs to go over what are the most important points. And you might even just say, even though there were 5 things covered, here's the single most important thing. Right? I don't need a full, imagine that you are giving a summary for your boss. Your boss doesn't want you to read the book to them. They want you to give the most important pieces. Right? So you're doing the same thing here. This is essentially an exercise in writing. So you give a brief summary and then a brief response where you maybe point out something that you don't agree with or something where you see a lesson in the book that applies to some real world thing that you saw in your real life. So, such and such lesson from this chapter relates to this thing I saw at work. Right now I understand this mystery. But it's open-ended, right? So you can respond however you want. So let me give you a brief overview of all the stuff that we have seen in the last 13 minutes. You want to come to Blackboard every week, multiple times a week, ideally. A typical week, we're going to have some readings from the textbook on Cengage, and you're going to have some homework assignments related to that. I didn't put deadlines onto the reading itself, so that makes it easier for you to find the work that's graded. That's going to be the stuff that shows up in this calendar view. But when you're doing your homework for Chapter 1, you should go over to Chapter 1 in the outline view, read the chapter, skim through that first, maybe take a look at some of the adaptive test prep questions for that chapter before you attempt the graded homework. And by doing it that way, you can kind of be a little bit more strategic and boost your grade up. This part of your grade, I expect to be, a pretty high average. I expect everyone to get something like 90% on this portion of their grade. This part's going to be easy. The reading and summary response assignments are going to be fairly easy in terms of earning points. The hard thing is going to be the midterm and the final exam. So take advantage of these easy points where you can. So you check Blackboard, you see what module we're in. While you are in the first week or two, definitely check out the syllabus, which is under course information. You can also check professor information, which I might need to update with. Office hours are in the syllabus. Good, I don't have to update that. On that point, office hours are Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Monday evening, I believe from 3 till 5:30. Wednesday from noon till about 1:30, and then Fridays from 11 till noon. But you can also reach me on Discord at any time. This is a good way. This is the fastest way to get in touch with me, especially for anything that is small scale. Anything that's personal, you should use email. Use your Farmingdale email to email me at weberr@farmingdale. And I can answer, private things there. In any case, if you've got any questions, feel free to reach out. Looking forward to interacting with you guys over the semester. I'll talk to you in the future.